Welcome back in. We're going to start doing our NFL team previews here on Mean Streets. I had a guest lined up. It's a surprise. I think that I can get him next week, and maybe we roll through this again, or maybe we just kind of dive into another team. But he covers the Los Angeles Rams, so that's okay. We're going to dive into this. It's just a little bit funner to kind of, when you read off the schedule with somebody else, like, is this a win? Is this a loss? Maybe you get some differences. Maybe we'll, maybe we can give a mic to Tyler in the future, or George, kind of to chime in behind the scenes, like to break the tie of things like that when we do talk the division and just the schedule. But we'll still roll through with this. The Los Angeles Rams is where we're going to start. The defending Super Bowl champion Rams. As you see here, the win total at 10.5. We have them as favorites to win the NFC West, and then you see a 5-1 to win the NFC and 11-1 to win the Super Bowl yet again, which we did have. Let's give ourselves a little bit of a pat on the back. Last year, Tino and I, we did have the Los Angeles Rams at 10-1 to win the Super Bowl in our bet tracker after week 3. Cheers! Oh, nice. I'm gonna go this way. Oh, wait. Oh, bats, opposite side. So it was after week 3 I'd seen enough. I think I may have overreacted a little bit when they beat the Bucs, and I think Sean McVay did as well. Remember how amped he was, and then Deshaun Jackson had that touchdown through the tunnel, and then McVay is just like running after him. I'd seen enough. I had really seen enough. Sean McVay with a capable quarterback, Matthew Stafford, and Cooper Kupp was balling out at the time. The Triple Crown, touchdowns and yards and receptions, an absolute monster performance from him. And they really did it without a run game. This was a team that was inside the top 10 in offense and yards, in points per game, but rushing yards are in the bottom 10. Of course, Cam Akers ruptured his Achilles before the season started. They brought in Sony Michel, and it was a Sony Michel backfield with Darrell Henderson. And then we saw Cam Akers miraculously return. I mean, that was really, really special to see him come back, just completely unheard of. What a beast. And he wasn't super efficient throughout the playoffs, but let's be honest, he went up against some really, really tough teams. I mean, you see the Bucs there, and Daily Handel's talking about the Bucs and, going to the Super Bowl. And he went up against the Arizona Cardinals, a top 10 run defense, the 49ers, a top 10 run defense, and the Bucs, we all know how good they have been at stopping the run over the past couple of seasons. We'll get to Akers a little bit more in the next block and take a look at his ADP and whatnot, but they didn't really have a run game, but Matthew Stafford was just slinging it, and he was slinging it to Cooper Kupp. It wasn't a whole lot of Robert Woods. Tyler Higbee kind of ate a little bit, and we saw moments from Van Jefferson, and then Odell Beckham Jr. was a big signing as well, and he was fantastic, just fantastic in the playoffs. You see the record there, 12-5. This 10.5 win total, I got to double check because, and it really is, and it's plus money here, and free prop shop, parlay calculator over at ftnbets.com. You don't got to go surfing around. It's just right there for you. Here's a little example. FanDuel's got it at plus 100, BetMGM plus 100, PointsBet minus 105, DK at minus 110, 10.5. I mean, the Rams won 12 games last year, and I think they have a better roster. I think they do. Aaron Donald's back. I mean, that's the key. Was it not? Like, they're missing some guys on the offensive line. Andrew Whitworth is, he's probably not going to be back. It sounds like he's retiring. He's not going to come back. That's a loss for sure. Von Miller, they had him for like a minute, right? It is a loss. He was good in the playoffs, but having Donald back is the key here. Listen to these numbers if you weren't familiar with what happened and he signed the extension here. So $40 million raise over the next 3 years. First non-quarterback to eclipse $30 million per season all time, $95 million guaranteed over the 3 years, 31-year-old future Hall of Famer. I think for sure, for me, the best defensive player I've ever seen. My goodness. I mean, this guy is an absolute game changer. So they're able to bring him back. Cooper Kupp, they're looking on restructuring his contract. And then Allen Robinson, I think, is a really nice addition. And again, we'll get into him a little bit more, but he is leaving Chicago where it was just so dysfunctional over the past couple seasons. No head coach Matt Nagy didn't seem like he knew what he was doing, dealing with very poor quarterback play. I know that, there was some contract talk last year. We'll say that. He and the Bears weren't on the same page. He was dealing with some injuries. Did he want to force it? I'm speculating, but did he want to force it through some of these injuries, knowing the Bears didn't want to give him the money that he felt like he deserved and he can get it maybe in the offseason? He didn't force it. Darrell Mooney had a pretty decent season with the poor quarterback play in Chicago that I'm talking about, but dealing with a rookie quarterback in Justin Fields who wasn't great at times. I mean, when his first start came in there, they didn't even like run any motion with him. They didn't know what to do and play to his strengths. It was just an absolute crapshoot in Chicago. And the previous 2 seasons before that, Allen Robinson was a top 10 wide receiver. Now, is he going to be a guy that gets 150 targets in LA? No. But he's not going to get top coverage with Cooper Kupp there. And he's not going to be the number 1, but I think he may be the best number 2 wide receiver on a team in the NFL. I really do believe that way. Believe that this division is theirs to lose. The Niners are still pretty good. They're going to turn the page to Trey Lance, who's going to go through some motions, struggle as a rookie quarterback. The Los Angeles Rams, or the Seattle Seahawks, they have the lowest win total in the NFL at 5.5. No Russell Wilson. Mentioned off the top of the show, Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner and Russell Wilson were drafted together in the same draft. I mean, it's got to be for the Seahawks. This is a complete just, oh no, what are we in for this season? The line is not good. The team is not good. Who's playing quarterback? Geno Smith, Drew Lock. Like, those are 2 layup games, I believe, for the Rams, even inside the division that they'll get. Arizona's going through some things as well. They lost Chandler Jones on defense. DeAndre Hopkins is suspended for the first 6 games of the season. They brought in Marquise Brown, who I like. He's going to play with his former quarterback and Kyler Murray, but there's a lot of question marks when it comes to this Arizona team. So I really like the Rams, and I think we can all agree here that the NFC is very weak. It is top heavy. You saw Daily Handle's comment there. It's Rams or Bucks. It is tough to repeat. Everything has to go right for you to get a championship. The Bucks brought everybody back, everyone back, the full band. Absolutely agree. The under 5.5. I don't think they win 3 games, but they brought everybody back, and then injuries piled up. It is very tough to repeat, but I think that's pretty good value for the Rams at 10.5 wins to get to 11. Tough division, not as tough as last year as we're talking about, and the NFC being so top heavy. Green Bay took a step back with Devontae Adams. Plus, they haven't been able to win playoff games over the past few years with Adams on the roster. Aaron Rodgers getting a little bit older, then really replace him. Christian Watson, fine. The Bucks, great. Rams, great. Who else are we talking about here in the NFC of teams that maybe I respect? Cowboys, I think they're worse off. The Eagles are okay. They're on the rise. I think they may be the best division and best team inside that division. Both of those teams are probably like 10-win teams. Washington's no good. The Giants are no good. Seahawks are not going to be great. The Vikings got issues. The Bears got issues. The Lions are on the rise, but really they're a 3-win team from last year. I think maybe they can double that. The Saints feel like they're competitive, but I don't know. Are they? They got a really good defense. Who knows? Alvin Kamara could miss some time to start the season. Who's the quarterback? Jameis Winston. Michael Thomas hasn't played in a couple of years. No Sean Payton. There's a lot of question marks. The Falcons are not great. The Panthers are not great. The NFC, they just have a clear path. They have a clear path, I feel like, to a bye or certainly home field advantage until the NFC Conference Championship game. So I think it's pretty good value to jump on them. And let's walk through their schedule. If you don't want to jump on them now, I mean, you may get them after week 1 when they open up against the Bills. If that's a loss, the markets overreact a little bit. Maybe you can get 12-1, 13-1. But they start off the season pretty tough. Buffalo to kick us off. Let's give them a loss. I think they win, but let's give them a loss. Let's be conservative here. Let's give them a loss, but I think they win, right? I mean, Buffalo's a really good team. They are favorites to win the Super Bowl, but I do believe that the Rams, at home, I still like their squad. Let's give them a loss. We'll just give them a loss. Falcons week 2, that's a W. At Arizona week 3, that's a W. We could give them a loss week 4 in San Fran. We could give them that loss. It's Monday Night Football. They went on a 5 or 6 game losing streak against Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers. Finally got their number in the playoffs to go to the Super Bowl. But it has been a team that has struggled against the Niners. McVay has struggled against Shanahan. So we'll be kind. We'll give them a loss. What are we at here? We're at 2-2. Dallas at home, that's a tough one. I give them the benefit of the doubt that they beat the Cowboys. I like the roster there. It could be 2-3. I give them 3-2. Carolina. So that's a win, week 6. We got 4-2 there. Then the bye week, got San Fran out of the bye. I got to give them the benefit of the doubt out of the bye against the Niners. They get the split against San Fran. There's a win. What are we at again? I might have to write this down. We're at 5-2 here. Yeah, 5-2. Tampa, let's give them a loss into Tampa. Maybe they lose against the Bucks. You know, we saw them play in the playoffs. They did have their number against the Bucks. They beat them. They beat them twice last year. We'll give them the loss. It's in Tampa. What are we at here? We're at 5-3. Then home to the Cardinals. I give them another win. You know, they would have DeAndre Hopkins back there, but I'm giving them another win. They're at 6-3. They beat the Saints in New Orleans. They're at 7-3. They'll lose to KC in KC. They're at 7-4. They beat Seattle 7-5. They beat Vegas 7-6 in Green Bay. I think they win. I think they beat Green Bay. I'm going to give them the win. Lambeau's tough. You know, it's December 19th. It'd be tough, but I think that they can get it done there. So we're already at 9 wins. We'll give them a lot. We'll give them a loss to the Broncos. Like, they have a stretch where they go Broncos, Chargers, and Seattle down the stretch. So they'll probably win 2 of those 3 games. They're definitely going to win the one in Seattle, week 18. They may be just resting guys, kind of like locked in maybe to a division or to potentially a bye. Give them the 1 loss against the Broncos, and maybe they go in to LA and they win that one. So what do we got here? We got one win against Atlanta, 2 against Arizona, 3 against Dallas, 4 against Carolina. We got 1 against San Fran, 5. We gave them another win against Arizona, 6. The Saints is 7. Seattle is 8. Vegas is 9. We gave them Los Angeles is 10. And then Seattle's at 11. So it's close. It's a pretty, when you roll through that, that's why I kind of wanted somebody to be here with me to kind of roll through that together. But when you do roll through that with somebody else, you always come across like, that's a pretty good line. You had them just 1 above, under, or 1 above. I got them as an 11-win team. The schedule is tough, like we walked through. I think they win the NFC West at plus 140, and I think that they get back. I really do. It feels like a sucker bet, but I like their squad better than the Packers, and I like their squad better than the Bucks. The Bucks lost some guys this year as well. So 11-1 in there. Los Angeles Rams. Lots of goodness. The defense is great. You know, you're going to have, I think the run game is going to be a little bit better. I think Allen Robinson is better than Robert Woods, so I think that's an upgrade as well. And they still may bring in Odell Beckham Jr., you know, on the cheap. And if that's those 3 with Higbee and with Van Jefferson, I mean, Matthew Stafford in year 2 with Sean McVay, you got to think like there's going to be improvements with the offense. I don't see a Super Bowl hangover. This team is legit, and the NFC is absolutely just completely wide open after those 3 top dogs with the Rams, the Bucks, and the Packers. So they're going to pile up some wins. But just looking at their schedule is tough. It's tough. We're going to stick with the Rams. We're going to break, come back, and take a look at some of their offensive weapons. Cooper Kupp, number 2 ADP. Jonathan Taylor, Cooper Kupp. How's Robinson going to look? Where's he going in drafts? Is it a fair price? Matthew Stafford kind of gets disrespected. I believe he did get disrespected last year, and he's, you know, I think a pretty good value this year as well. So a little bit more Rams talk here on Mean Streets. Keep it locked. Welcome back in. You can tell I'm a little rusty. I'm rambling. I thought we actually had just like 1 more segment. We actually have 2. So we'll keep this one a little bit shorter. We'll kind of splice them together. But the Rams fantasy football targets here, where these guys are going. We'll take a quick look at round 5 NFFC drafts in the next block here. So Matthew Stafford, quarterback 9 off the board. You know, I think this is pretty solid, you know, on average here for Matthew Stafford. You know, it just mentioned in the last block the addition of you know, Allen Robinson here and Cooper Kupp, right? I mean, Cooper Kupp is just unguardable. You can say what you want. The teams are going to adjust when it comes to Cooper Kupp. But yeah, I mean, good luck, right? The guy just runs terrific routes. I like where what am I going to say? Oh, I like where he's going wide receiver 1. I do. I would still pick Jonathan Taylor over him. I'm just a sucker for running backs. I think, you know, not a huge sucker for them. There's some running backs, you know, when we get into some other teams, and we already talked about round 1, round 2. I do have some concerns about like Derrick Henry and CMC. I like Najee Harris. Dalvin Cook, I'm a little on the fence with. I do like Leonard Fournette. I think Saquon could have a nice bounce back. He's going outside the top 10, but Jonathan Taylor is like just a true bell cow, and I have no problem taking him. I don't think you're in the wrong though if you want to take Cooper Kupp first overall, especially in a PPR league. You got Darrell Henderson, Kyron Williams in there, who is dealing with a broken foot, but he is going to be ready to go training camp. The Rams did draft him in this recent NFL draft. Allen Robinson is wide receiver 25, ADP 62. So this is just the last 6 weeks of NFFC drafts, high stakes leagues, people putting their money on the line. Starting to see Allen Robinson, you know, move up slightly. I think this is a really fair price. Van Jefferson, wide receiver 64, ADP 161. Tyler Higbee, tight end 20, ADP 162. I have no interest in Higbee. Higbee. Jefferson, I guess, is like a guy just to have on your roster in the last round or something. There's certainly some upside, but not great news for him moving forward. Bringing in Allen Robinson and potentially Odell Beckham Jr. That would really hurt Van Jefferson as well. He's just a deep threat guy, and I like him a lot, but an injury would have to happen for him to be kind of fantasy